Suso, tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Gol! Alessio Romagnoli, goal! Alessio
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher, joined by Anthony Torgrud, who's been coughing, so I'm a little bit worried.
That's not necessarily true. I coughed once. I don't have corona, don't worry. But yeah, follow me on Twitter at Torgrud45.
Yeah, you guys can go ahead and follow me on Twitter at Madison_DT.
So lads, we haven't had any football. What have you been doing to fill in your time?
Nothing. Twiddling my thumbs. This has been the longest week of my life. Or is it 2 weeks now? I don't even know. All the days have just kind of become one.
Yeah, I started drinking a lot. Not healthy habit to pick up, but mainly just Saturday.
Good, because it suppresses the symptoms as well. So,
Right.
Yeah. It's weird this, because obviously we do this as obviously to talk about Milan and stuff, but I feel like we're almost documenting the downfall of society week by week, and this could become quite an interesting thing to look back on and be like, wow, we went from being buzzing about everything a month ago, maybe just over a month ago, to now like we have nothing to talk about and everyone's in self-isolation and everything's a bit upset. Like I would say the world is very paranoid at the moment. I think all jokes aside, like the world is incredibly paranoid, and with good reason.
That's an understatement.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it really, because I understand it, but I feel like
I don't understand that.
Do you think it's a conspiracy? It's not
most
real.
of the cases I feel like don't get picked up on, so the death rate's not as high as they say it is. You know, so it's just like the flu, but
It is just
Okay,
like the flu in
boomer.
a way, you know. It's difficult. I find it scary that it's almost exactly 100 years on from the Spanish flu that came about after World War One, and obviously that absolutely ripped through Europe. It went global in the end, but that was something that we couldn't get under control, and there was a lot of bad practices that were put into place during that. And I think even though times are completely different in terms of the advancements that we've made in medical care and all that kind of stuff, we've learned from our mistakes a little bit. But then you see things like what's going on in Italy at the moment is genuinely kind of tragic. Like the country's been completely ripped apart by this. Obviously, data seems to suggest that certain demographics are more affected than others, and they've done the right thing now by basically putting the entire country into lockdown. There's nothing else they could really do, though. They needed to stop the spread. Even in the UK, things are getting a little bit alarming now. We've taken a slightly different strategy. So, like, France have ordered everyone to stay indoors for 2 weeks, and you get fined if you're spotted outside. But they've also
How are they going to catch you outside if everyone's inside?
catch me outside. How about that?
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
that's a fair point.
Yeah,
I'd like to be
drones
one of
flying
them.
around.
I'd like to be one of them who does.
no, they have the army probably just walking around. The army's in New York City too, just like patrolling.
Yeah, we've
Just
got a
crazy.
BBC reporter out there at Times Square, and it was kind of scary. It looked like
Yeah, it's,
something
like, empty.
from Armageddon, because it's
Yeah.
just troops knocking about. But yeah, man, this is weird. It's really weird. It is like something from a movie, and it's not good. And obviously, everything's kind of on hold because, for once, it's something that I don't know what to think about all this. Like, without going too deep into it, I don't know if this is something that is actually just completely dividing the world, and it's like every man for themselves, and there's a lot of tribalism going on. Like everyone's just, you know, it's just a survival instinct thing, or whether actually everyone's kind of coming together and realizing this is where we need to kind of work together to make sure that we get this shit stopped. But I don't know.
I
I
think
think
that
Go ahead.
in the end, it's going to take other countries to come together for the United States to join, because the president of the United States is very, he thinks he's the best thing in the world, so he won't want to seek help from anyone else.
Well,
No.
he's been trying to get help from Germany, and by that I mean he wants like exclusivity on whatever their vaccine that they're working on is, I think.
Every single
know.
deal with Trump has to be a business deal, and I understand that. But it's like, come on, Don. There's there's bigger fish to fry here in this case.
Right.
But
There's
it's
people dying.
Yeah,
No, it's a real mess.
I
It's a
think there
real
might
mess.
be some silver linings to come from it. Obviously, like the whole situation's terrible, and no one's rooting for this, but you look at like the heat maps or whatever of pollution, and everything is decreased drastically in Italy and China. So that's a big plus. The world is kind of healing in a way because of this. It's unfortunate that humans aren't, but yeah, that's one positive, and I think we're realizing a lot of things that a lot of changes that need to be done as far as society, at least here in America, where we're noticing a lot of changes that kind of get you thinking. So maybe some good things will come retroactively from this, but obviously for the time being, it's pretty shitty, pretty scary.
There's a lot of
My 2
there's
cents.
a lot of things going on at the moment, which like I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but this whole world preservation, population management stuff is kind of like, if you wanted to artificially create it, you probably couldn't do it better than how it's being done at the moment. But obviously, it's just like it's loss of life. It's horrible and it's scary. And to see our prime minister go on TV today and say, as he has done for the last few days, and say, look, you're gonna lose loved ones in this. Like it's gonna happen, and people are gonna be affected by this. It's kind of like saying, oh, you don't even know what it's going to be like in 2 months, as if they know stuff that we don't in terms of how it's going to spread. Don't know. It's not particularly fun to talk about. It feels like every single time you turn on the TV, it's all about how coronavirus affects something in particular, and it's certainly affected sport. And I think it is times like this when you realise that sport is sport. It's fun. It's it's a distraction from life itself in a way, like, and here we are, like, I don't know, it just puts everything into perspective a little bit, really. And yes, life might feel a bit empty without it and stuff like that, but yeah, bigger things at hand. But that being said, we will talk a bit about Milan and what's going on with the club now we've had the coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever segment out of the way. No, there's not. I had to think then about what's going on. There's not an awful lot really going on at the moment, apart from last week when we were talking. It seemed like Ranić was definitely coming, and now a few doubts have come out saying that he's asked for some demands about transfer budget and about being able to bring his own backroom staff and stuff like that. And then stuff's come out today. We record on Mondays. Stuff's come out today about Pioli potentially being confirmed for next season. AJ, gut reaction?
I don't even have one. Like, I don't know.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like we got torn in so many different directions on so many different topics the last month and a half that, like, my gut reaction is just kind of null. I just don't. I think nothing shocks me anymore. Nothing's like, oh, there goes that. It's just like, okay, this is where we're at now. Obviously, I prefer Rangnick to come in. I think he's a solid manager, director, everything. He's really good. But if Pioli's confirmed, then so be it. I guess my mind. This is not good for a football podcast, but my mind hasn't been on football for a bit lately.
No, you're right. It hasn't. It's hard to think about. Well, the problem with this basically is that it comes down to games stopping. So the papers have to find a way to fill themselves. So they're coming out with different storylines every day. I think Gazzetta dello Sport have been the worst for it in terms of saying one thing one day about how there's a 3-year deal agreed, and then the next day saying, no, he's got concerns over this, concerns over that. So we can expect that to continue definitely into early April. But I don't know. I don't even know what's going to happen with the season, though. Like, there's so many different ideas being floated.
I think this is it.
You think this is going to end?
I think so. I mean, there were talks of that playoff thing that kind of gained some steam, but now that a bunch of first-team players that would be in that playoff are contracting the virus, like, there's just no way that happens. And I think they outright said that we won't go forward with the playoff format. So that's definitely not happening. I think most realistic would be the 22-team season for next year, and we just kind of call this one as is, no title changes hands, nothing like that, and then just placement determines Europe. But I don't know. I think
there needs to be some accountability here from the various leagues and UEFA, because what is clear at the moment is that they're not working together. Syria were the first to take the stance by suspending the league, and it was an important step in doing that because all the other major leagues have basically followed suit. But the way that UEFA have played hardball on this and haven't said anything about the potential of postponing the European Championships yet is just kind of putting a block in the way of everything, because you've got all these heads of various leagues coming out and saying, well, what we want to do is hopefully resume the season in May and finish it late June, but we need to know what UEFA plan on doing with the Euros, and they're just not being transparent. Seems to me like there's no discussions going on. There's nothing to try and coordinate this. And I just watched something on Sky Sports over here tonight, and it was an hour and a half debate about what should happen with the Premier League season, with the Championship, who should go up, who should go down. Should they write off the season altogether? Should they have a playoff? Should they try and complete the season over the summer? Will it even affect next season? Let's say that UEFA are adamant on not moving the Euros, and then we've somehow got half a season to fit in, or we completely right. I don't know. It's like there's so many different, and we don't know where we're going to be in 2 to 3 months either. It's all right saying we plan on resuming the season in May, but that could be when the virus is at its peak. And
like China recorded their first case, even I think at the end of November, and yesterday they had 41 new cases.
Yeah, I mean it's rounded off substantially in China, but
way
substantial. The thing about China that Europe and America aren't doing and just flat out won't do is they listen to rules. When they said we're going in quarantine, no one left their houses. You've seen the media. We've all been treating it as a joke. We're going to bars. We're going to parties. Like, we're doing stupid shit that's gonna make it worse. Whereas China quarantined. They locked themselves up, and then not only that, the government went through and clean sweeped the entire country for the most part. At least in Wuhan, they deep cleaning everything. There's no chance that happens here. We're not going to do that. So I think they've done a great job of rounding the curve, but they're flattening it. But I don't think
people our age think that it's no big deal, and they're just like, doesn't affect me. I'm gonna go out to the bar. And all weekend, Shannon and I did we did not leave the house. I was like, fuck that. I'm not trying to get sick.
Yeah, there are certain things that it was weird because obviously I'd say all football over the weekend was pretty much off, except for this one game which was in the conference. No, in England.
Oh, okay.
They basically delayed the suspension of what we call non-league football, which is below the 4th division. 5th division is called the conference. And the only televised game in all of Europe was Halifax Town, which is about 30 minutes from my house, against Ebbsfleet, who play down south. And they got thousands of fans there at that game for that because it was the only live football that was on. But you think, that's stupid. Like, that is inciting the crowd, and that is not going to help anything at all. So it's
just
funny.
This morning I turned on the TV, and they were showing replays of old games, and I was confused at first because it was like not classic games, just like random ones throughout the season. Like the Liverpool's 2-0 win over City earlier in the year. That was on one channel. There was a CONCACAF Champions League game between like
LAFC and the Honduran team, I think.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? And I don't know, I watched it for like 5 minutes and just got sad because I already knew how they were ending, and B, I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Just like Armageddon.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that would be a good call, just to get a little off topic though, is if like ESPN wanted to, like ESPN here has the rights to Serie A. If they played old Serie A games but have the current day commentators commentate over it live as if it was playing, that we could compare it to, some stuff going on like in real time, like play a game with Maradona or something in it, and compare him to how Ciro Immobile is doing this season or something like that.
That would be quite cool.
Yeah. Change it up a little bit.
That's like them Football Manager saves where you can just import players and see how they're getting on. Yeah.
So, hey, Benetti, I know you're listening. There's an idea. You're welcome.
That's the thing as well. Like, I know you said about the playoff system. I don't think they'll end up doing that because it becomes then a whole debate about who gets involved and stuff like that. But then the whole thing about, I've thought about this. If you cancel the season, right, and you keep the current standings as they are, and you then, because I'm guessing the Italian Cup wouldn't be finished either. But then you look at who's left in the Italian Cup, Napoli being one of them who were already in a Europa League spot, and then we'd get a Europa League spot as it is. Would there then be an argument from the teams below us who have played a game less and have a point less that they would have actually finished above us? And
yes, given the way this season
that's why I think it's dangerous to kind of just cancel the season as well.
At the end of the day, there's going to be 20 teams upset with how this ends.
Yeah, except for the team in first.
Well, they might not.
Except for like you today.
Yeah.
What?
Whoever's in 18th, they're the only team going to be happy because they're not getting relegated.
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know who that is at the moment, but
18th is Lecce. I'm looking at the table right now. So the teams below us that could jump us with a game in hand, Hellas Verona and Parma. They both are 1 point below us with a game in hand. So
and that could be pretty big, if the season were to just end outright.
Let's see.
That's why I don't
probably not for Hellas Verona because Napoli was their postponed game, but
okay.
And Parma's was, I'm looking right now, Genoa and Torino. So Parma could jump us for sure.
When you think about the idea of just cancelling the season and fixing the standings, it's okay as long as it's a level playing field and everyone's played the same amount of games. Even though then there would be complaints about how, well, if it had been cancelled 3 games later, looking at our fixture schedule, we might have had 9 more points and we could have been in a, there's all kinds of arguments that you can have to that as well. But I just don't think we're finishing this season. I
don't think we are, but it also comes to a point where the leaders just have to be like, hey, this is the way it is. You didn't get an equal amount of games, but, there's people dying with sickness. So,
yeah, exactly. I think someone's just got to take a stand.
Better luck
next football
season,
is a game, really, at the end of the day. And I know it means a lot more to a lot of people, but you're right. It's human life, I guess, at the end of the day. And this is the thing about the idea of delaying it and playing the rest of the season on like a really intense schedule in a couple of months. That won't do anybody any good. And I feel like that's the least likely solution at the moment, because that's when I reckon the virus will probably peak, but also the players will not be in the right headspace to play those games. They'll likely have people that they know affected by it. Some will have probably lost loved ones due to it. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Some players have contracted it and will probably still be recovering because of all the respiratory stuff that comes with it. And I just see any more games being played anytime soon as the least likely solution. So then we start looking ahead. It's going to be a real mess as well when you look further ahead to the 2022 World Cup, which is currently set for November, December in Qatar. So the Premier League season, all European seasons were going to have to be moved about anyway to accommodate for the Winter World Cup. So that creates even more of a fixture logjam. I'm just glad I'm not in charge, really. I'm glad I'm not the one making decisions.
Same.
That's why I think we just, across the board, whole season, null and void, we just restart as if this season hasn't happened. No one gets relegated, no one gets promoted, no one wins a title. European places just go to the teams that currently had it, and we just restart the 1920 season for the 2021 season. That's the only thing I can think of that would be fair to everyone.
What I will say is that seasons have been cancelled in other sports for much more petty shit than this. If you look at like the NHL lockout and the MLB lockout, seasons that have been cut short halfway through because the players' associations couldn't find agreements over various things, and the seasons just stop. And they are known as the lockout seasons, and nobody won anything. And teams feel pissed off. Like in particular, this is going off topic, but obviously when Montreal had a baseball team, the Expos, they were really, really good in the lockout year, and then that screwed them over. They were probably one of the favourites to go on and win the World Series, and that could have brought about a boom in baseball in Montreal. But in the end, they lost their team to Washington. I think they went to Washington.
Yeah, I think it was Nationals.
Yeah. So it can have massive consequences. The one thing that I will say as well, though, about all of this is the financial impact that it's going to have on clubs. It's okay for the what you'd call the financial elite in European football. They can stomach the loss in match day revenue, but there's a lot of teams that can't. especially in Italian football, most clubs are not in good financial health. And I think that this is more serious than we think. I mean, I've seen that what do I mean? Whoever it is, there's a relevant governing body in Italian football that have asked the government for money to help cover, the losses that clubs are going to make, because I think they know full well that teams are going to go out of business otherwise. There's some owners out there that have the money to be able to pump into this kind of thing, but there's some that don't. You look at the teams that recently have gone bankrupt that you would have considered to be powerhouses. Parma obviously being one of them. And Milan were almost bankrupted, virtually were bankrupted in the 1980s as well. So like it can happen.
We almost were when Elliott took over. We didn't have enough money to register.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's just wild that you think you know everything that's going on at the club, but
we were talking about like
days away from being bankrupt, from not existing. And
we were talking about how do these new owners get us into the top four, but really we should have been having the discussion, how do these owners sign us up for the league? Kind of mad to think about it like that. But yeah, this is going to have a big financial hit without a doubt. And I don't think the full extent of it will be known until probably a year down the line, maybe, once everything's kind of realigned again, hopefully. But we don't know.
So who's the first top flight club we think is going to go defunct?
In any or Serie A?
Well, let's be real. It's going to be a Serie A team first, so just pick one of them.
It could be a Portuguese or a Turkish league.
But in the top five.
Probably like, I don't want to instantly go for a really small club, but I would say like a Spal or a Lecce. I was
thinking Spal and Lecce as well.
Yeah, like
I think it would be Genoa. Honestly, I think they're just so down in it right now as is. It's just a whirlwind for them.
Financially, though, their health I don't think is absolutely terrible because they've got such a good balance sheet.
You think it could be a big? It would never be like Juventus, but someone who has like this monstrous wage bill that is now, we know, losing 12.5 million euros in match day revenue per week with this.
Mm-hmm. Well, Man United have been
60 million a year or something like that.
But
United is a valuable brand. Juve is not.
They also get a shit ton of money from TV rights.
Yeah, Serie A doesn't get dick.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of teams who kind of have erratic owners, and you think of like Ferrero, who's been wanting to sell Sampdoria for ages, but I think they're all right. They're a big enough club to be covered by it. I think Fiorentina would have been in trouble before Camiso took over.
They did cross my mind as like a big club.
I know they're not. Go down. I know they're not Serie A. I don't think they're even Serie B anymore. But did Palermo go bankrupt recently?
Oh yeah, they've been bankrupt.
Okay. Yeah, I knew they were like struggling and then vanished. But I couldn't remember it or not. Yeah.
One of the teams that might be all right in this is Monza, who is obviously Berlusconi and Galliani's
team.
They're
on the up and up. They might be in Serie A soon.
Yeah. Oh God, I don't know how I'd feel about that. Because they turn us over the first game.
Oh yeah, they do the double.
Can you imagine?
They apparently have enough money to put a decent contract offer on the table for Ibra, which is quite funny.
I saw that. That's ridiculous. Yeah, how do we think financial fair play is going to come into effect? I mean, this is going to cripple clubs, obviously. So we're looking at, as far as Champions League winners go, it's going to be Liverpool, Madrid, PSG, Barca. It's only going to be one of those teams for the foreseeable future, I would imagine. Those teams that already have these powerhouses that can continue to build off of it. No one else is going to be able to make purchases. No one. And
I think
a big name player passes from this, then that's game over.
I think Liverpool's about to get picked apart by Real Madrid.
Well, we'll see. I don't know.
Maybe that's just me being an Everton fan hoping.
Yeah, definitely.
Best case scenario for you was that game getting postponed.
No, they needed 2 more wins to win the Premier League. You didn't even read the article that you sent me.
You obviously didn't either, because they still could have clinched it that Monday had City have lost.
City just needed to lose one of their next 2, and one of them's Arsenal.
Yeah. They just needed to drop any points. They didn't even need a loss. They just drop points. So could have been.
I thought about what the
We're
impact
both right,
might
then.
be.
Okay, that's fine.
I thought about what the impact might be on financial fair play for us, and I started thinking to myself, this summer might be the summer where you could get away with spending a lot of money.
I was thinking about
Because then you could just turn to UEFA. If UEFA were like, "What are you doing? You know, look at your financial fair play." You just say, "Yeah, but we lost money because of the coronavirus and the TV rights.
Right. But we only had half a season.
Yeah. And we spent 200 million.
I mean, there's projection sheets. Like they would know roughly where they should have been, and that's probably the guidelines they'll give. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Maybe they just do away with it. I think a lot of regulation across the world is going to be changed because of this, as far as everything. So why not this? This was a dumb one to begin with.
Yeah, it was. I think they were always going to change financial fair play regardless, but I think they're going to be forced into it now. And I think City must be pissing themselves. Like, you know, they're still in the Champions League. Obviously, they're not in the league race, but it turns out that Liverpool, even though I think they will eventually, it turns out Liverpool might not even be awarded the league after all that. And obviously, they've got the League Cup already, and Man United as well. They're laughing.
I wouldn't be disappointed about it. Just to throw that out there.
I just don't
save you guys from going down twice, huh?
No comment. We're all right at the moment as it stands. But as long as Leeds don't go up, then I'm really, really happy.
If that happens and you guys are saved relegation, are you getting the 2021 home kit with COVID-19 on the back?
Oh my God.
Don't do it. That's a terrible joke.
COVID-69. Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
Why not? If that's what it takes.
No, it's kind of weird in all of this. Just not going. Yes, my nerves have gone on suspense. Obviously, with us being in a relegation battle, and I don't feel as nervous about weekends anymore. With Milan not playing and wondering what the next source of ridicule is going to be and stuff like that. But I kind of miss it. There's nothing to feel any emotion towards at the moment, really. You know, and that's sad in a way.
Yeah, I've noticed, this stuff is irrelevant to anyone but me personally, and again, boohoo, my diet's kind of gone out the window. I've been like, whatever, I'll just eat honey buns all day long. I haven't been taking the gym seriously.
Well, you can't go to the gym anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, well, whatever, you know. I'm doing Yeah, I'm just getting into my feelings because of all this. I'm just bummed out.
Oh, yeah. Might call this one the bummed out episode.
The SempreMilan bumcast.
That sounds like a completely different genre to the one that we're going for. Yeah. Moving on. Anyway, I'll ask you a couple of questions. Well, we got 3 questions, I would say, just to try and fill the void. Maybe more. I haven't actually refreshed the list, but we'll start with this anyway. Joseph Calvo asks, favorite Milan moment of the past decade. We did a decade review thing, but I don't think this was one of the things we discussed. We discussed our favorite 11 of the decade. But while we're
assuming he means last decade.
Yeah.
10 to 19, obviously. I feel like it's cheating if we include the first half of the decade, because that was such a different time period. So I'll do just the second half, just the bad half of the decade, and I'll say either the 4-3 comeback at Sassuolo, or I think the scoreline was 5-4 opening day of Inzaghi's season against Parma, where Menez went off. Go with one of those.
I am going to do when we beat Barcelona at Camp Nou in the Champions League.
That's a good shout. Yeah, the 3-2.
Because it gave me such hope. And then they came back and beat us at home. So the hope was torn out the window. But I bought a Milan jersey for that game. And it was the first Milan jersey I ever bought. And it was it was a really thin striped kit, you know? Great kit.
This is the one where we beat them 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got spanked in the away leg.
4-0 or something like that.
It's when Pato scored in the first 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh no, we won that one then. We went through in that because we drew that game 2-2. So that was the season where we won. And then the season after was where we beat them 2-0 at home again, but got absolutely hammered in the return leg, lost 4-0, and Messi scored a hat-trick, I think.
The Pato goal was in the year prior?
Yeah, that was 11-12. I'm kind of doubting myself now, but I'm going to look it up.
I think Maddie's right, but I don't know. You tend to be right over us, so I'm like, I'm inclined to lean towards you.
I know the one on about.
I'm
Pato
just like,
scored after
okay, I'll
22
tell
seconds.
me what it was.
Yeah.
Well, while you look that up, I'll mention a memory that was like the first one where it was the beginning of the downfall, and I was like, this is the worst thing that could be happening. And little did I know how wrong I was, like how much worse it was going to get. But our penultimate Champions League game, the first leg against Atletico Madrid,
Oh my God!
right at halftime, we dominated the first half of that game, and right before the halftime whistle, Atletico scored one to go up. And I remember all the commentators at halftime were just kind of silent, and they're like, well, this is weird. Like, Milan deserves to be ahead. They're clearly the better team. They should come back and dominate the second half. But right now, Atletico's winning. And then I think the score stayed 1-0 for the rest of that game. And then the return leg, we got just destroyed.
Those gold jerseys.
I've come back ever since.
That was our last year in the Champions League, right?
That was it. Yeah. That was our last tie at Champions League.
That was when Kaká scored and grabbed the badge and pointed it up to the.
Yeah.
Wearing a Red Wings shirt, Maddie, you'll be happy with me.
Love it.
I don't. So I was kind of wrong. I don't know, man. I was kind of wrong. By kind of wrong, I mean was wrong. So in the 2011-12 season, we drew 0-0 with Barcelona at home in the quarterfinals, and then we lost 3-1 away in the second leg. And Nocerino scored in that game. I remember that being very forgettable, so that will explain that. 2010-11 in the knockout stages, this was the Scudetto season, we actually lost to Spurs.
Yeah.
Quite
I remember Spurs beat both us and then Inter in the next leg. Inter were reigning champs at the time.
And then the 2012-13 was the one where we won 2-0 at home and lost 4-0 away. And therefore
So Maddie was right.
Yeah, but what was the one when Pato scored?
That was it, wasn't it?
I thought that was it. No. It was against Victor Valdez. I remember that.
It was definitely at the new camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was against Valdez, so it could have been in that era.
It could have been 2009.
It was in a group stage. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah, we drew 2-2 in the group stage. That's the one that I remember.
We drew Barca all the time.
Oh yeah, it was every season.
Yeah,
it pissed me off.
Around that time, yeah.
Yeah.
We did all right though, like considering that we declined in competitiveness, to beat them 2-0 with that absolute shambolic team in 2012-13 was quite good.
And did they? No, they didn't. I can't remember. No, they didn't win the Champions League that season. Never mind.
I can't remember who did.
They won it the season after we were eliminated, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it was.
So my favorite memory, so there's obviously winning the Scudetto, but that almost feels like it doesn't really count because it was 10 years ago. And then there's like
Berlusconi.
The Supercoppa was a good one because it was a trophy that we were like, how have we ended up winning this? You know, Juve won the league and cup, so we qualified for it just by losing the cup final, and then we shithoused the penalties win. So that was quite funny because it was a trophy. And then like there's that 2014-15 season for me is the funniest by far. You know, it didn't end particularly well with the league standing. Finished 10th, didn't we? But everything else about it was fun. Like, it was a fun season to watch. You know, there was a load of really, really good games in there because we couldn't defend, but we scored a lot of goals. You know, we beat Lazio 2-0 or 3-1 in the first game of the season, then won 5-4 at Parma. That was the first away game of the season. Then we went to Verona and won 3-0, and
We
I think
started the season in first, didn't we?
after
the first
8
couple weeks?
games, I think we might have been second then, but Honda was the
Yeah.
top scorer in the
Yeah.
entire league, and it was like, wow, this is mad. But just all the forgettable players that were part of it as well, like Destra, useless loan spell, Churchy.
Yeah.
Man.
Who was the defender? He was Italian, but we loaned him from Spartak. Was he that season?
Bocchetti, Salvatore
Yeah.
Bocchetti. Yeah. Do you know what? On paper, it wasn't a terrible.
I was
No, it was
excited.
pretty bad.
I was excited for him, honestly. I was like, oh, this is good. This is what we need.
So,
And it wasn't.
Diego Lopez was a solid keeper, and he was unlucky
was.
really to get
Yeah, that
overthrown
was
by
a
Donnarumma.
great move by Galliani. Get him for free?
Mm.
Yeah, that was nice.
Experience, and he was good. And also we had Agassi as a backup then, who
Agassi.
and Abbiati, who obviously,
Right,
experienced pro.
Yeah.
Left back was Antonelli, who I always thought was all right.
Yeah, I never had anything against him.
No, he was always very solid. Abate at right back was coming towards the end of his.
He was still decent that season, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we ended up playing Bonera there a lot. Which wasn't good.
There's another name for you right there, Bonera. Jeez.
Funny guy.
Was Ricardo still around then?
He was, yeah. Yeah, he was. He didn't play, but we had Alex and Rami at the back, and then Rami kind of
Alex was good, man.
Went haywire a bit. Alex and Romagnoli had a really good partnership together under Mihailovic. People forget that. Which coincidentally is one of my favourite moments of the past 10 years was when we beat Inter 3-0 in the derby.
Alex
and being
had
there for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's crazy. You were there for that?
Yeah, man. That was. I think it was the second or third derby that I went to. But yeah, it was mental. We were in the Curva Sud for that. That was the first time I went in the Curva, and it was, oh God, what a night. It was the Berlusconi Tifo as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
Incredible. And then we had De Jong, Marco van Ginkel. Marco van Ginkel was good. I actually wanted us to keep him.
I did too. Where is he now?
I would say he was back at PSV, but I don't actually know.
I think he is. He's at AZ or Alkmaar or something like that. I don't know. He's not in a top league, that's for sure.
He's at Chelsea.
Yeah, but where's he really at?
No, he's at Chelsea. He's not on loan anywhere.
There's no way.
Oh, it's because he had an anterior cruciate ligament injury.
Oh wow.
Oh,
sounds bad.
He was at so he was at PSV last season.
27.
Yeah, he's as old as me.
Oh my God.
He's older than me actually.
He hasn't done
20
shit with his career.
Yeah, I mean,
God, I
I
feel so
like me.
old.
Yeah.
AJ, are you only 26?
When you say only, that's not close to 30. I'm basically dead.
we all are.
Yeah.
I was
Andrea Poli, who I've got a picture with while he's stood in an ice bath. That's quite funny. Bonaventura, it's got here, I'm looking on Wikipedia, and it's got Bonaventura as the left winger, but obviously we played El Shaarawy there a lot as well. And then Honda on the right with Churchy as a sub, and Jeremy Menez as the false nine. I absolutely love Jeremy Menez. I'm very, very vocal about my love for Jeremy Menez. I think he, in that season, did exceptionally well to get to 18 goals.
Yeah, he did.
Even though, 9 were penalties. Someone's got to take them.
But you know what? His goals that he scored were incredible. That, round the keeper, run outside, back heel flick thing was incredible. He had another just
that one
wonder
against
goal.
Napoli
What
where
was
he took it past Koulibaly.
Yeah.
Weaved it inside, faked inside and went outside and drilled it into the far corner. That was absolutely amazing. But the other names in here, Pazzini, obviously, cult hero, legend. This guy, I just remembered as going down in an 11 of flops in terms of who we signed. Michelangelo Albertazzi, who we signed on a free transfer from Hellas Verona as a backup left back, and I don't think he ever played for us. Essien, Zapata.
I loved Michael
Philippe
Essien
Mexes.
at Chelsea, and I was like, he's going to do great at Milan, and he just shit the bed.
Perhaps the most interesting one. Either of you can chip in here, and I'll buy you a dime bar or whatever if you get it right. Who was number 98 that season?
Hold on, what did you just offer to buy us?
A dime bar? Do you have dime bars in America?
I think you said a dime bag, which is cocaine. I was like, excuse me?
Jesus Christ.
I was like, no.
I
no.
thought you said
Yeah, so-
dime bag too, but I was thinking pot, not.
Yeah,
Coke.
that makes more sense. Sorry.
Self-isolation and all that, you know?
God.
What
was
the
the
next question?
El
You-
Shawarwe?
No.
No.
Nyang?
Hmm?
Nyang?
It wasn't Niang, was it? It was
No.
I can see it. Mestore.
Mastar, did you say? Yeah,
Yeah,
Hakeem
Hakeem.
Mastar. Yeah.
Hakeem. I went to get his jersey that season too, and I wanted
I
it.
thought that kid was gonna be so good.
So did I.
Like
Well,
a
because he was doing like
Red
videos
Bull
with Neymar.
Yeah.
Red Bull
yeah.
Academy shit, yeah.
So there's this place. I think it's gone now. Actually, I drove past it and I noticed the sign was missing, but a store in town that used to be called The Shop, and it was just for soccer/football stuff. But that's where I'd get all my jerseys, and I went in there and I was like, oh, I want to order it. And they're like, cool. They said, what name? And I said, Hakeem Store. And they said, who? And I was like, all right.
Oh.
And they didn't even have him on the list. Like, he wasn't an available name. So I got an El Shaarawy one for like the second year in a row. And I was like, okay, cool. And then I think that was the year he just vanished. Didn't he?
Yeah, it is an
He
interesting
developed
thing.
his coke habit.
Yeah.
I might oh my god, as if he's only 21 still.
Yeah, he was a child. He was like 15 that year.
So he's at Regina at the moment, which is good that he's still in Italy.
I didn't know he was still playing, to be honest.
It would be quite funny if like Ranić came in and was like, yeah, this is the guy.
Fun.
We're getting him in. We're getting him back.
He never made a first team appearance for us, I don't think, right?
No, he never did. No, he's just had career really. Because I did cover an interview that he did with Italian media about everything that went wrong at Milan, and he said that it was basically out of his control, and like he developed this reputation as being a showboater, which he was, but managers didn't use him because of that reputation. Like he felt like he was never given a fair crack. But is what it is. So my favourite moment, going back to the question, Locatelli 1-0 against Juve. Just so many things were beautiful about that day.
Yeah.
It was on the 100th anniversary of Kilpin's death. There was an amazing tifo before it. The fact that a boyhood Milan fan, Milan Primavera product, scored a second half winner, absolute thunderbolt, clean sheet against Juve, our first win against them for what felt like an eternity. Just
That was the second, wasn't it? 'Cause didn't we win the Super Cup that season also, like a couple weeks before?
it
Or was
that
the Super
wasn't
Cup
a
after?
win. I hate to be anal about it, but it wasn't a win. We technically drew that game.
Okay,
Did you
fair.
guys know that
I can't.
Cutrone had his
Coronavirus? Yeah.
coronavirus?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Calabria spoke about it earlier today. He said that like he was really bad, but now he's getting better. So it's kind of scary that these are professional athletes, the peak of physical fitness, etc., and they're flawed by it. So
It just shows what kind of a fraud Cutrone always was. Right?
That's not the angle here. That is definitely not the angle. Anyway, one more question then. Favorite goal of this? Oh no, we got two more then. Favorite goal of the season so far? This season.
God, can I say the one that Zlatan's got called off? If not, I'll go with Leao Fiorentina 3-1 loss.
That was mine.
Yeah, that was a good one. I'm struggling to think of any long ranges.
Takes 5 penalty kicks.
Baller.
I mean, if you want a long ranger, pick one of Teo's.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I'll go with that Teo volley actually from the corner. You know, the one that came out to him.
Yeah.
Bang, and against Udinese, I think it was. That one. That was a good one.
That was.
And then this one comes from Nur Aziz Octavia One. I hope I'm saying that right. Donnarumma's transfer saga. I mean, we've talked about this at length. It doesn't appear to be any closer to being figured out or whatever. But what do you reckon about Plizzari? What happens with him? Let's say Donnarumma gets sold and Antonio goes too because they basically conjoined at the hip. That leaves us with, at present, only
Begovic.
But he's only on loan, and Pepe Reina will come back and will probably leave because of his salary. So does that provide an opening? Could Plizzari be the new Donnarumma, basically?
I
Isn't
know
he
a lot
doing
of people think that, but
terrible in
No.
his loan
Bad
games?
team. Bad team. He's in a team that's bottom of Serie B. Like
Bottom.
yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can say is probably to blame him. I look at the stats now, and he's
yeah.
conceded.
I know
But-
he hasn't had good stats, but I think those are deceiving. But I also just don't watch any Serie B at all.
You
So
can't
really, all
really
my
get
information
the-
is from.
It's worth to giving him a shot. You know,
season especially.
I think we really like. I don't know what the expression is, but we got lucky with Donnarumma, and I just don't think lightning strikes twice. To
Yeah,
say
you know,
we have
but
two
maybe
products would
we
be incredible. I don't know.
are blinded by Donnarumma, and we actually have this star kid behind him.
Well, this
I mean,
was
that's a
the
lovely
thing.
theory. I
I've
just
thought
don't
about
think
that
it's
quite a bit.
likely. I
This
just
was
don't
the
think
thing
it's
at the
likely. It
time when, in 2017, when we were talking about Donnarumma's contract renewal, and it was all announced that he wasn't going to renew with us, and we were getting ready for the post-Donnarumma era. And at this point, Plizzari was 17, I think. And there were a lot of people then who were calling on, because Plizzari, while all this was going on, signed a new contract with the club as if to make it clear that, I'm staying here even if he goes. And a lot of people were then calling on us to throw him in kind of a similar circumstance, teenage, all that. But he hasn't obviously played for us. He's been out on loan a couple of times to Nana, and he's currently at Livorno, who are rock bottom. Just looking here, in 15 games, he's kept 2 clean sheets, 29 goals conceded. Don't know what that means really, because that doesn't say a lot to me. Like, he could have the worst defense. He probably does have the worst defense in the league in front of him. Also, he's got a smaller frame. That's something to consider. Donnarumma was a freak at 18 years old. Even 16 years old, he was huge. He was 6'3".
Still is for his age now. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no age where his size is normal.
And obviously the thing with Serie B is as well, you can't go in as in depth with stats, so you can't see how many shots he's faced and all that kind of stuff. So I think they'll definitely take a look at him in pre-season. It'd be wrong not to.
But I think Donnarumma's gone for sure.
We're heading that way. The problem is when Donnarumma becomes apathetic to the situation at the club, and he's starts to doubt whether it's the best thing for him to stay here, because that is all we're relying on at this moment. We're not going to give him a pay rise. Whether you think that's right or wrong, that's just the way it is. So we're relying on his love for the club, his loyalty, etc., for him to say to Raiola, who knows that better offers will come in financially, for him to say, reject him, I want to stay.
So going back to what we thought earlier about Corona ending all the seasons, say we do get a freebie with financial fair play for this summer. What if Elliott says this is our chance to strike? We just find lightning in the bottle and just use the full force of their wealth and fucking create a powerhouse team.
They won't do that.
It's not
It'll
Elliott's
never
way,
happen,
is it?
But I mean that probably would be though.
I think it
Become the
certainly
best
puts.
immediately.
I think it's.
I have zero trust in Elliott.
Yeah, me too. It's not gonna happen, but I'm just trying to spin this a little positively.
I think it certainly puts an end to any idea that we might be taken over this summer, because just everything's going to be put on hold. Literally everything, especially the stadium. Even though they're saying that meetings are ongoing and stuff like that. No,
You can't build it if you don't have any workers. So
yeah, just forget it. I think everything's getting pushed back now. As much as I'd like to have a healthy financial backing, and for him to just say, right, this is our chance to spend money, it's just not their way, is it? And especially considering the way that Elliott work, they're going to be hit hard by this as well. This whole coronavirus global recession that we're going to end up having on the back of it.
Well, I think it might work out in Elliott's favor, to be honest. I mean, you look at what they did with, I believe it was Venezuela, loaning them for paying off their national debt. All these other countries, South American countries.
Didn't they do something with Argentina as well?
Yeah, they repoed all their
Navy fleet.
Yeah. Think about that, though. I mean, if they start bailing out people, because ultimately Elliott's independently wealthy. They're not. Stocks don't affect them as much as it affects people just buying stocks. They just have money. Mm-hmm. So if they're just
but their money's in
stock.
stock. They don't just have all this cash on hand.
Well, theirs is more liquid than most. I mean, that's literally what they do. Is they're
They just
they're
buy
a
up
fund. They
bad
give out
debts,
money.
don't they?
Yeah, they buy out debt. So who's to say they won't take over essentially a couple small countries in Europe that are devastated that can't pay it, and now all of a sudden they got way more assets, and they're like, all right, cool, sell this
So
off.
in theory, when everything else is going bad, things could be going good for Elliot.
Right.
But
That's
I
why
guess you
people
wouldn't.
hate them.
I guess you wouldn't know until
Yeah.
down the line when they get to do something with those debts.
Yeah.
Sorry, buying up debts, but you've got to get them back somehow. You've got to get the money back somehow.
Yeah. But that's the nature of a vulture fund. You know, it's called a vulture because vultures eat carcasses of dying dead things, and it's fitting that.
It's
Fund is
fitting.
one
Is
of
that
those.
really the?
No, well, okay. I meant just Milan, not Corona.
Excellent. Good way to end. Really good way to end. Anything else, boys? Anything you want to get off your chest? You know, while we're in this reflective mood and this state of somber reflection. No.
I might shave my beard because it just doesn't grow as much as
Yeah,
Maddie's.
Could collect virus.
I actually trimmed my beard for that exact reason.
I did too, and it's been itchy, like right underneath it. That's
Yeah.
it. That's all I got.
Cool. Yeah, there's not even. This is the thing. I mean, the transfer rumors that have been coming up as well have been pretty much the same stuff. It's always Rodrigo de Paul, who we have been linked with like every day for the last year or something. And then Upamecano came back in, but like that all depends on the Ranić stuff, obviously. So there's just like no out there. Even the papers are struggling to make stuff up, and it is difficult for content at the moment. So I might just start doing some kind of abstract features. Like I might do something on whatever happened to Hachi in my store and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, that's it. Oh, nearly forgot. This year we're in the running for the Football Content Awards. Yeah, you know where we're going with that. The Football Content Awards, which are being hosted provisionally at the moment, late in May down at the new White Hart Lane, Tottenham Stadium. We're in for the category of Best International Club Content Creator. We were a finalist last year. That was at the Etihad where Man City play, obviously. But this time we want to go one further and hopefully win it. So there will be details about how to vote on our website. It'll be top of the features section, so go there and you can cast your vote online. And then also check our pinned tweet, because there's a link you can click and it tells you straight away how to tweet your vote. So yeah, any votes are much appreciated, and hopefully we can, or I can be stood there with the trophy, because AJ probably won't be flying over for it like he wants to.
Yeah, I bought a ticket, but good chance that gets refunded. So
I think
we'll see.
there's a good chance that the event doesn't happen as well, but I hope it does, because.
But still vote, because we could win remotely. So
Yes, yeah, I could accept an award via Skype. Should be cool. Yeah, that's everything then. Yeah, thank you very much for listening. Not a particularly action-packed episode, but it's what it is. We're making the most of it. It's also good group therapy, I would say, since it feels like three lads in self-isolation, and no doubt everyone else is a bit bored with what's going on. But in the meantime, you can.
Bored now.
Dude, I'm so tired, man.
You're always tired. That fatigue is one of the symptoms, actually. So you want to self-isolate.
Just cough too.
Yeah, you're.
We're kicking Maddie off the
Dude,
call.
when I'm looking at these symptoms, I'm like, I have asthma. I have shortness of breath all the time. When you're shortness of breath, you cough. Like it's just like
I think your asthma people are at like a much higher risk of it. So
I called my doctor to talk to him about it, and because it's allergy-induced asthma,
yeah,
I'm fine.
okay, cool.
Short of breath and short in height. Unfortunate.
Can't have it all.
Wrap
I
it
guess.
up. Let's go.
Well, yeah. Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. You can find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher or at Kilpin Chronicle for some more explicit Milan-based rants. Been joined by Anthony Torgrud.
Yep, Torgud45. Thanks for listening, guys.
Maddie.
Madison_DT.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you in a week's time.
Tira Alessio, Suso, tira, perché non tiriamo? Ma perché non tiriamo? Gol! Alessio Romagnoli, gol! Alessio Romagnoli!